Okay, so what if I told you the secret to achieving your huge goals wasn't about massive, heroic effort, but about taking a step so small it feels, well, kind of stupid? Today, we're going to dig into the mini habit strategy from Stephen Guys, and it's a method that pretty much flips everything you think you know about building habits completely on its head. Look, we've all been there, right? You set a big, ambitious goal. You're going to exercise every day, write that novel, finally learn Italian. You are fired up. But then what happens? A week, maybe two later, poof, you're right back on the couch. So what is going on? Why do our best intentions so often just fall apart? Well, if you failed, you're not just in good company. You are in the vast majority. This number, just 8%, is the average success rate for New Year's resolutions. That means there's a staggering 92% failure rate. And that proves something really, really important. The problem isn't your desire to change. The problem is your strategy. See, we tend to fall into what you could call the ambition trap. We set these huge, inspiring goals, but there are a couple of problems. First, research shows we consistently think we have way more self-control than we actually do. And second, and this is the big one, big intentions without action actually hurt our self-confidence. Every single time we fail to live up to our own grand plans, we're basically teaching ourselves that we can't be trusted. So let me just say this loud and clear. If you've struggled to build new habits, you are not the problem. This is not a moral feeling, you're not lazy, it's not about a lack of character. The problem is the strategy you're using. And the best part? A strategy is something you can change. Like right now. So where did this new, better strategy even come from? Well, it all started with a story. The author, Stephen Geese, was feeling completely and totally stuck. And on a whim, he tried something so ridiculously small it seemed almost pointless. He called it the One Push-Up Challenge. So picture this, it's December 28th, right before the new year. Geets decides he's going to kickstart his fitness goals with a 30-minute workout. But he felt, in his own words, just lethargic and worthless. The very idea of that workout felt impossible, like being asked to climb Mount Everest in these pajamas. He was totally paralyzed by how big the task felt. And then he had this light bulb moment, a game-changing thought. What if he did the complete opposite of his huge goal? Instead of Mount Everest, what about one tiny little step? The idea was so simple, it was almost laughable. Just do one single push-up. That's it. No commitment, no promise to do more. And you know what? He did it. He got on the floor, did one, as he called it, pathetic push-up. And then something amazing happened. The resistance, that feeling of dread, it just vanished. Since he was already on the floor, he figured, hey, why not do a few more? That led to a pull-up, which led to a few more of those. That one tiny, non-threatening action snowballed into a full workout. He had tricked his own brain into just getting started. So why on earth did that work so well? It really comes down to this internal battle that's happening inside all of us, all the time, the fight between motivation and willpower. We usually try to use motivation to get things done, but that's actually where we go wrong. Let's think about how these two forces work together. When your motivation is sky high, you don't even need willpower, right? You just want to do the thing. It feels easy, effortless. But what happens when that motivation inevitably crashes down to zero? Well, the amount of willpower you need to do that exact same thing becomes enormous. It's like trying to push a car uphill through mud. It's just brutal. And this is exactly why trying to rely on motivation is, well, it's a terrible strategy. It's based on feelings, and feelings are fickle. They come and they go. Willpower, on the other hand, is way more reliable. But there's a catch. It's a limited resource. Think of it like the battery on your phone. It drains throughout the day. But here's the cool part. It's also like a muscle. The more you use it correctly, the stronger it gets. Okay, so to use that willpower battery smartly, we have to understand this little conflict that's always happening in our brains. You can think of it like having two different bosses inside your head, and they're constantly fighting for control over what you do. Let's break it down like this. You've got a smart manager. That's your prefrontal cortex. This is the part of you that sets goals, understands long-term benefits, and wants you to be healthy. But you've also got a stupid repeater. That's the basal ganglia. Now, this part is incredibly powerful, but it doesn't think or care about your goals. It just runs on autopilot, repeating patterns. In other words, habits. And this right here, this is the key to the whole thing. The only way to create a new, lasting habit is to teach that powerful, stupid repeater a new pattern. But you can't do it with logic or inspiration. It only understands one language: pure brute force repetition. And that brings us right to the solution. A system designed to work with your brain's wiring, not against it. It's a way to speak that language of repetition without completely draining your willpower battery every single day. Enter the mini habit. And the definition is everything. It's a very small, positive behavior you do every day. The whole point is that the requirement is so tiny, so stupid small, that it's simply too small to fail. There's no excuse. You can always do it. So here's what that looks like in the real world. Your big goal is to exercise 3 times a week. Forget that. Your new mini habit is to do one single push-up every single day. You want to write a book? That's huge. Your mini habit is to write just 50 words a day. You're lowering the bar so far down you can't help but trip over it on your way to success. And this is the quiet genius of this system. Because the action is so easy, it requires almost zero willpower. It completely bypasses that internal fight between your two brain bosses. It forces you to build consistency, which is the only ingredient that actually creates a real habit. And just like with that first push-up, starting is the hardest part. It often leads to what we can call bonus reps. But maybe the most important thing, it creates a daily win. You go to bed every night feeling successful, rewiring your brain to see yourself as someone who actually follows through. It all really boils down to this. We get so paralyzed by our huge ambitions that we end up doing nothing at all. But doing one push-up is infinitely better than doing 0 push-ups. That one small, consistent action is the seed from which massive change can and absolutely will grow. So that just leaves one final question for you to think about. Forget the massive goal for a moment. What is one tiny, stupid small step, so easy you can't possibly fail, that you can take today to move yourself in the right direction?